The long drought persisted. Hot winds made the water evaporate from the stone crevices. The ground accumulated salt, causing the grass to die and the beasts to retreat. And the bodies of primitive humans lost water quickly, skin cracked, eyes blurred from sunlight. In such conditions, only those groups that stayed near the shadows of rocks, seeking the remaining moisture within dry roots, could survive. Pressure of thirst forced their brains to work differently, remembering the location, season, and shape of fruits still holding water. Memory began to become a tool of survival, no less than claws or teeth. When the heat of day killed every breath, night became the time for movement. Under the moonlight, the temperature dropped, allowing the bodies of the primitive humans to conserve strength. Their vision was weak, but smell and hearing took its place. Every sound, every scent of soil was a signal to guide the way. The females led one another out of the shelter, carrying the remembered scent of once-growing fruits. Leaving the cave in darkness was a daring act. It marked the moment when humankind learned to choose the right time to act, no longer entirely ruled by instinctive fear. Amid the damp mountain clefts, seeds fallen from the previous season sprouted. The group stopped, witnessing life reborn from the dry remains of the thirsty season. For the first time, hands did not merely gather, but touch the soil to preserve life. That act marked an evolutionary turning point, the forming awareness of the cycle of earth, seed, sprout, fruit. From observing nature, the feeling of wanting to keep life alive arose in the brain. Whoever knew how to care for the sprout would have food when the dry season came. From then on, survival no longer relied solely on hunting, but began to depend on memory and intention. When the seed grew into a sprout, the primitive humans were forced to stay in one place longer. Waiting caused the natural food sources to dwindle. That pressure divided the group into two, the keepers and the seekers. Hunger became the test of pack organization. Only those who knew how to share portions, taking turns to search for water, could maintain their strength. During that time, humankind learned to recognize weather, wind direction, and signs of rain. The footprints around the garden were the first traces of an early settled life. Observing hunting beasts became the school of early humans. When watching the wolves surround their prey, their brains recorded the rhythm of movement, the coordination, and the safe distance. hunting structure of the human pack changed, no longer charging alone, but splitting into groups and creating signals. The use of stone-tapping sounds and howls marked the beginning of active communication. This coordinated action not only increased the chance of killing prey, but also shaped the brain regions that processed sound, paving the way for the formation of language later on. From imitating hunting beasts, early humans created a weapon of unity, the primitive stone spear. When the pack attacked in rhythm, bodies and sounds merged into one unified movement. For the first time, strength did not lie only in muscle, but in the calculation of distance and timing. A successful hunt brought meat, skin, and fat, but more importantly, it brought awareness of collective power. The spear became the symbol of gathered intelligence, where the human pack learned that unity itself was also a weapon. When early humans began to store meat, the smell of food attracted predators. Night became the most dangerous time. Poor eyesight forced the group to rely on fire, the only light that could drive away darkness. Fire not only gave warmth but also awakened a sense of control over the night. Yet that light was also an invitation to the stalkers. The appearance of predators forced the group to learn to recognize tracks, strange scents, and the sound of wind. From fear, the instinct to keep watch was born, the first step toward the awareness of territorial protection. When facing constant threats, early humans used what was available in their surroundings to create a barrier between themselves and the hunters. Thorny branches, vines, stones, and fire became the first natural forms of protection. The act of building a fence marked a crucial turning point. primitive humans began to alter the environment to suit their living needs. From arranging branches and wedging stones, the ability to organize took shape. They learned to calculate wind direction, light position, and safe distance, the foundation for the concept of lasting shelter. When the predator charged in, the thorn fence became the boundary between life and death. For the first time, the ancient humans witnessed the power of something created by their own hands. The death of the hunter carried great meaning. Fear was replaced by the feeling of mastery. They learned that combining many elements, fire, rope, stone, thorn, could defeat a stronger foe. The wound of the hunter became a lesson about the body's limits and the value of care. From that point, the idea of healing began to emerge, walking side by side with the instinct to fight. An infected wound revealed the thin boundary between life and death. Blood flowed, flesh decayed, the stench spread through the cave that was when early humans faced an invisible enemy disease. When fire and wind could not drive away the foul air, the pack began to see illness as a force within the body. Fear led them to the color of earth, crushed stone, and leaves things carrying the living breath of nature. From the instinct to avoid the smell of death, humankind began the first acts of ritual and the first exploration of their own bodies. In the damp forest, the smaller females searched for leaves, fruits, and roots through taste. Bitter, spicy, astringent, each flavor was a signal of survival. Through thousands of trials of tongue and stomach, humans learned to distinguish between what nourished and what harmed. From sensations on the tongue's tip, the brain began to form memory of taste and smell. Tasting, selecting, and remembering marked the beginning of understanding plants. Each leaf branch was a record of life, and curiosity became the first tool that helped humankind triumph over disease. Bitter leaves and white roots not only saved the wounded, but also opened a new path of understanding. When hands crushed leaves, mixed water, and pressed it onto skin, early humans for the first time controlled the power of plants. The sensations of heat, cold, relief, and pain turned into the language of the body. When the wound dried and life returned, the pack understood that earth, plant, and blood could merge as one. From that moment, nature was no longer only a threat, it became an ally. The concept of healing began here, within the soil and fear. After many dry seasons, vapor rose thick in the air. When clouds gathered heavily, the air electrified, and the sky hurled fire toward the earth. Thunder and violent rain marked the return of the water cycle. For the first time, the ancient humans witnessed the power of the sky melting stone, sweeping away animal carcasses and changing the course of streams. Water both saved and threatened. Pressure of rain and wind taught humans to observe clouds, to recognize wind direction, soil color, and the scent of moisture. Understanding the sky became a survival skill equal to hunting and fire. When the waters rose, early humans faced a choice: flee to higher ground or hold on to the land. The current split the pack, revealing two instincts: to escape and to endure. In the flood, the earth became an enemy, yet it was also where life's roots clung. That conflict forced humankind to learn cooperation between strength and persistence. The gaze shared between hunter and grower showed two halves of survival merging as one. From then on, decisions were no longer mere instinct, but conscious choices, the foundation of communal behavior. When stones and mud were stacked in rows, early humans unintentionally created the first structure built against nature. No longer hiding, they began to shape the world according to their will. Each stone laid down was proof of collective intelligence. The male hands carried strength, the female hands connected. The embankment held not only the land, but also the memory of unity. The mud and water, the concept of we emerged rising above the individual. That was the first step of community, where life bound itself to the earth and to one another. When the storm passed, the earth softened and the scent of dampness spread across the valley. A new season of life began, but it also drew large beasts seeking water. Those who survived the disaster now faced a different danger to hunt and be hunted. The roar from the forest awakened ancient instincts within each being. The constant pressure of predators taught humans the reflex of the group, to gather, to be silent, to observe. Each alarm refined the brain to distinguish sound, wind direction, and the trembling of the ground, a perception beyond the instinct of beasts. The appearance of giant beasts placed the pack at the edge of life and death. In that moment, intellect and courage split into two paths of action, the decoy and the trapper. They learned to use terrain, mud, and plants to deceive prey, for the first time harnessing the power of the environment instead of direct confrontation. The coordinated act between male and female proved an evolution in thought understanding that survival did not come from individual strength, but from calculation and the division of roles within one shared goal. When the beast sank into the mud, there was no shouting, only the heavy breathing of the pack. In that moment, ancient humans understood that victory came not only from the strong, but from the harmony between mind and action. The exchanged gaze between two beings marked a turning point. Instinct and intellect began to recognize each other. The pack witnessed the birth of a spirit of coexistence between thinker and doer, between leader and understander. From then on, they hunted not only to live, but began to live to exist together.